So, something that comes up on cold exposure a lot is why do it and when to do it. Okay, so you can't really overdo cold exposure, but one of the main reasons you will want to do it is when you cannot engage with sunlight, either through lifestyle, your work prevents you from being outside when the sun is out, or the time of the year is just, hey, you're gonna get up before the sun and you're gonna come home and the sun's already down. Those are the times of the years and times in your life when you want to take advantage of cold exposure. And the reason why is that is a secondary circadian entraining mechanism, just like morning sunrise and evening sunset are a circadian entraining mechanism. Cold also does it, and it is actually the yin and the yang to sunlight. As a being on this planet, it gets cold when the sun goes away, and it gets hot when the sun comes back, whether, as far as seasons go and day and night. So that's why cold is a secondary entraining mechanism. And that's how you would essentially use it. And when I mean that you can entrain it and use it that way, I often use this with people that work night shift, for example. They're almost never going to see sunlight at appropriate times of the day. So they can't really use sunlight as an entraining mechanism to help them go to sleep, for example. Because they're going to be seeing the sun rise when they're supposed to be going to bed. That's actually why most can't sleep very well during the day. So inducing cold at that time will actually cause you to be able to sleep better. And then inducing cold once you wake up, even though the sun is actually setting, will actually wake you back up when you're already refreshed. So cold is definitely an entraining mechanism for sleep and wake cycles, not necessarily night and day. And the main parameters that you want to start to utilize to your advantage to use these, right? Because it's not always about getting in a cold dunk tank. You can. That is obviously the fastest way to entrain cold. But a simple act of, hey, I have a bowl with some ice water in it and I'm going to hold my breath and put my face in it. 30 seconds, do that for 2 or 3 minutes. That is the quick and easy way without getting your whole body cold to start training that mechanism, because it's going to take advantage of something called the mammalian dive reflex, which will induce a very, very robust dopamine and noradrenaline response at the brain level. So it works excellent for entraining us a wake cycle. So just getting up and doing that first thing in the morning will definitely induce a kind of a semi-euphoric state every single morning. But the best part, or the evolution of cold exposure goes, this is where you would start training, is just a face dunk. Then the next thing would be wrists and hands, which the face dunk kind of covers that. And then the next step would be a cold shower. And then finally, the last step and the most efficient step as far as time spent doing it would be a cold plunge, where you go up to, your clavicle at least. 3 minutes there induces all of the effects that you're going to need for this mechanism to work correctly in you. And doing that consistently during cycles of your life or season where you are just not able to get outside with daylight is always going to keep biology rolling correctly. Some things that you might run into would be rashes on the skin. Like some people will say, hey, I get like Raynaud's disease or something like that when you induce cold. That immediately tells me that there's a dietary problem as far as fatty acids making up your cell membranes. And that's where you go back to step one of engaging with any kind of environment, is you need a very fluid membrane and cell surface to interact with the environment. And that would be omega-3 fatty acids. You need more omega-3 fatty acids or less omega-6s. The Raynaud's disease and getting a rash from sunlight or from cold tells me immediately you probably have too many omega-6s. So reducing your intake of omega-6s and bumping up your omega-3 intake will start to offset that ratio, and over time that it will resolve the issue of anything weird happening with skin when you interact with sunlight or cold.